those are excellent points. So as oncologists, we have actually put so much focus on the value of care with these drugs. These are expensive drugs, and it's actually very important to give these drugs to patients who would actually benefit most. The challenge we have is, especially with immunotherapy drugs, these are very drugs that actually have a very complex mechanism of action. Our immune system, the way it interacts with the cancer, is extremely complex, and also like not just complex in a static manner. It's actually very dynamic, and it actually evolves over time and evolves with treatment. So the way it actually affects the efficacy of the drugs is quite different compared to targeted therapy, and developing newer and better biomarkers which can actually inform us in terms of how we use these drugs and when we use the drugs, and how we use the drugs in combination, and when not to use the drugs. Like, for example, when patients who are at high risk for immune-related toxicities, you may want to not give drugs or not give combination immunotherapy drugs. So I think the field is evolving quite rapidly, and there are a lot of new data that looks very promising in informing us in how we select patients for single agent immunotherapy and combination immunotherapy approaches, and also like to identify patients who would potentially have like very severe adverse events with these drugs, and perhaps avoid these drugs in those patients. So and also like we need to also do studies to find out how long do we need to really treat these patients. Sometimes, you know, like as I mentioned earlier, like we may not actually need to treat these patients for years. You know, if they have a good response and you know, they're doing well at 1 year, I think it warrants like you know, discussing with the patient about like, you know, the cost involved in long-term treatment with these drugs, and also not just financial toxicity but clinical toxicity, and we don't know how safe these drugs are when you use them for like years. So we don't have long-term safety follow-up on a lot of these drugs.